Hey guys, Den here with another episode of the How to Scale Video Business podcast. My guest this week is Jamie McKenzie from Pure Productions in New Zealand. Now, Jamie and his company have just come out of a 4-week lockdown. They're just returning to stage 3 lockdown. And the reason I wanted to get Jamie on the show was on day one of this whole escapade, he obviously panicked and was like, shit, what's going to happen? But it's what he did next that's of interest. And I wanted to get him on the show to share exactly how he responded to this opportunity and how that's ended up playing out over the 4 weeks that they were locked down. Now, we also discuss in the show the greater impact of what's going to happen as a result of this whole pandemic and how it's going to impact our businesses going forward. And unfortunately, there's going to be some casualties. But what's really important is that the strong businesses can come out on top. So we discuss that. We also talk about the wider picture and the wider impact of what's going to happen going forward and what our predictions might be. So I think you'll find this to be a very, very powerful episode. So before you get started, please do rate us over on iTunes. We build this podcast largely organically, so it's down to you listening or watching to help us spread the word. And I really appreciate that. And of course, don't forget to subscribe over on the blog, where you can get a copy of my book, How to Add 20 to 30% Margin to Your Quotes instantly, and you can get that free just for subscribing to the show. So guys, please do enjoy the show. Jamie McKenzie, all the way from Pure New Zealand, in many sort of different ways, actually, because Pure New Zealand is their slogan, isn't it? And your company is called Pure Video Production.
It is, which is by chance.
Great call. Jamie, lovely to hook up with you in your back garden.
Yeah.
Now, for those people who are watching this, you'll be able to see Jamie is surrounded by palm trees. For those of you listening, Jamie is surrounded by palm trees. And today is the day that you come out of stage 4 lockdown, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So here in New Zealand, we've been in lockdown for level 4 for the past 4 weeks. So like a lot of countries, all our freedoms have been taken away, and the whole nation has been sitting at home, either watching Netflix or planning. I think those have been the two options for most people sitting at home.
I actually saw a post you put out just a couple of days ago, which I loved, which was just a very kind of neutral post about, there seems to be two camps. There seems to be those who are going, okay, it's a holiday, put our feet up, nothing we can do about it. And then there's the other camp, which I think you fall into, which is let's go hard and turn this into an opportunity. Talk to me about how you approached this stage 4 lockdown when it happened, because you're a pretty significant busy production company and everything just shut down, didn't it? Talk to me about what you did and why.
Yeah, so my production company Pure, I started it 18 years ago, so I've been around for a while, and like any production company, ebbs and flows, there's peaks and troughs, went through the GFC, so I've seen lean and tough times before. So which was so quick, right, for all of us. 1 minute we are, about driving around, going to our shoots, doing what we're doing. Within 48 hours, we're locked up at home with no freedom. So as that happened, I looked around me and I saw that there was no surety in anything. We don't know, and even now, we don't know what the future is going to be and how it's going to look. Everyone's speculating, but we don't know. For all we know, 2 weeks' time, this virus flares up again and we're locked down again. So I thought, in these circumstances, what do I do as a business person? What do I need to survive? Because for me, it's survival, So the first couple of days, or I think the first sort of 24 hours, I went, like pretty much everyone else, I went sort of into panic mode and fear mode. It's like, shit, my business is going to close and stop. My income's going to stop. How am I going to pay the mortgage? How am I going to survive? And I rode that out for about a day. And then I decided, look, to get through this, I need to choose a mindset and stick with it, So I decided, essentially for me, the mindset is about surviving and then thriving. So what do I actually need to survive? Cut all my costs, do what every business is doing, get myself solid, get my business into a safe position so I can last. Then how do I thrive? Well, first step obviously is reaching out to your marketplace and then first of all your customers and making sure that those relationships are strong, and I think, for a lot of production companies, that's potentially an element that we miss, because it's often job by job. You do a job for a company, you deliver them some great videos or a great video, you move on to the next one, and you sort of forget them pretty quick, unless they don't pay their invoice, and then you don't forget them ever. But once they've paid, they've gone. So, I've got, thousands of, clients that I've worked with. So my first step was literally just to reach out to them and connect with them and communicate, and also to get some data for myself. What are people thinking? How are people reacting? And what are they going to need through this? What I quickly identified through talking to a number of my clients was everybody was hungry for information, like really hungry. Trying to sell video to those people, because I did try, was just not happening. No one was spending money, even now, people are reluctant to commit to spending any money. So I thought, well, look, I'm going to put the financial element aside. I've hibernated my business. I do have other incomes that I'm lucky enough to receive, so I'm pretty safe. So I'm going to ignore trying to, get my cash flow up, and I'm going to concentrate essentially generating some brand goodwill by reaching out to people and communicating with people. Hence sort of how I connected with you, and I launched what I've called the Expert Series.
And that's what I think, something I really want to touch on there is the mindset. The thing that I observe working with a lot of video businesses around the world is that the more established, mature businesses have a mindset of always being aware that things can change. But when things do change, acting extremely quickly, like you sat for a day and panicked and then went, right, I've done the panic. How can I fix this? The Expert Series has been phenomenal, because what I've observed looking in, I think we might have just lost you a bit there, and your signal's just dipped out. Oh, hang on. We just lost you there, Jamie, for about 5 seconds. Can you just repeat that for me again?
Yeah, so the way that I approached it was, I saw that it was a great opportunity to actually connect with experts within different industries and different sectors, and get information from them. It was a great excuse for people who are really willing to connect, willing to share their insights to help other businesses. So leverage that concept, and I over the first 3 weeks, I conducted literally 3 to 4 interview sessions a day, each with different people. I've got tens of thousands of views of the videos overall. I think I've probably got 6 confirmed jobs from the people that I've connected with. And I've got 2 new business ventures that I'm talking to a couple of them about. So it's made me no money. I've put a lot of time and energy into it, but literally I've just been doing this, sitting in my garden, having conversations with people.
How good is that, though? Because you are on a stage 4 lockdown where you're not allowed to leave the house, really, not allowed to do any business, but you've just used that as an opportunity to nurture new opportunities at a time when you've got everyone's attention. And what I also loved was, I noticed last week you changed tack slightly. You actually reached out to the audience and said, who here has a challenge around video? Who here is struggling? And I think you spoke with a woman who was a mortgage advisor, and you basically gave her a live strategy session. And I thought that was just genius, because you are demonstrating your value to people who needed the help. And not just that, but the people who are observing and watching the content, because you've built an audience, will see your skills. And I would be very surprised if you don't end up with a very busy back half of the year as a result of that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think in terms of that sort of concept of trying to show people some strategy of some kind, because, in Australia, you may be a little bit further along. Most businesses and marketers that are using video here, they don't grasp how to actually use it, and same as many production companies. I'm making content that never gets seen, really. It gets gets, stuck on a website somewhere, and it gets a bit of traffic, but it's not really doing any heavy lifting or what it should do. So I guess, part of my stand is to actually educate the market. And video works. We know it works. Combine video with social media, you've got dynamite. Combine video, social media, and actually
The other thing that I observed is that, you've been an active user of social media and paid advertising yourself for some time.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. There is this element that a lot of the market are just not sure what to do with video. I think one of the things that's really smart about what you've done is that at a time when the whole world can't communicate in any way but video, you've firmly established yourself as a provider of video, but someone who's demonstrating by using video the benefits of it. Have you had any interesting feedback from competitors or other video production companies? Has that come up at all? Because
yeah,
you must be standing right out in the marketplaces now and really winding up the competition.
Yeah, when I really sort of started going hard on my own promotional video content featuring me probably about 18 months ago. And when my first campaign was me smashing up a camera, because I wanted to shake things up. Everyone's heard of video and everyone's talking about doing video on there. And I wanted to show that I was a stand for something different in the industry. So the clip's me smashing up one of what appears to be a very expensive camera, and I got a lot of backlash from people in the industry here in Zealand saying, why do you think you can say these things? What is it? What do you know that we don't know? And that camera wasn't what you said it was. And all this backlash, which to me, it showed that I was onto something, because firstly, I was obviously getting some attention, right or wrong, and whoever it was on, but people were taking attention. The second thing is I was walking the talk, I was struggling to sell my potential clients into video and some of the solutions that I offer, but then not doing it myself. It just doesn't seem right, Whereas if I can put my hand on my heart and go, well, look, I'm going to implement this strategy with these tactics. These are the results that I get myself. That's a pretty easy thing to sell.
And that was the reason I discovered you, because within my coaching group, I'm always saying to my clients, guys, you're selling video, but if you're not using video to sell your video, that's hypocritical. And then I caught your ad of you smashing up a camera. I'm like, who's this guy? This guy gets it. And I think you were testing some ads to Australia, and I saw it and I reached out, and you were really busy. But I was like, it's just so refreshing, because it's actually like the market is wide open.
Yeah.
If you're willing to invest in your business and actually create content and spend some money promoting that content, the net effect is not just showing your clients what you do, but you're demonstrating by doing. And so when you have a conversation with them, they already know you make content. So they're like, well, you make it, therefore we can get behind it. Yeah. It's interesting. I love what you said there about it shaking up the market. And I think we need to do that as business leaders. And COVID has been an amazing opportunity for this, because it's going to, Warren Buffett says, it's only when the tide goes out, you see who is swimming naked. And we are going to see a culling of about 30% of the providers in the marketplace. And I'm okay with that, because it was getting flooded, and anyone can make money when there's plenty of work. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, I've always taken a stance in business, and I probably class myself as a business and an entrepreneur before I class myself as a maker. I think there's so many filmmakers out there and producers out there that's all they are, and then they never really make money, and you're not going to survive long if you can't make money and you don't have a product to sell. So my stance has always been, I'm either going to be a leader in what I do, or I'm going to be following someone. And if I'm following someone, I don't want to do it, So that's always been my stance.
I think also, making content that's slightly controversial is a really powerful positioning strategy. And I feel that a lot of the filmmaking community And I kind of refer back to really kind of 2009 when the DSLR thing kicked off. There seemed to be this sense of that filmmakers were a community and we were all out to help each other. But in actual fact, we're all in business and we need to look after our own businesses first and look after our clients. But I think there's a blurring of the lines when it comes to this notion of filmmakers are a community that always help each other out, because I don't necessarily see that as the case. But I love the fact that in business, look, in this is a business podcast, and in business, your moral responsibility to your business is to turn as high a profit as you can for the least amount of effort in return, to serve your clients at a high level and make money. And a lot of filmmakers are uncomfortable with that because they hide behind the gear, they hide behind the process. But this crisis that we're in is going to kill businesses. And I want to, and I'm okay with that because that's how commerce works. It's going to thin the market, and I believe create a higher quality product for the market and the end user. Do you have any perspectives on that?
Yeah, I do. I think, in the last 5 years, video production is, the ease of entering the market is has become very easy. You can, couple of $1,000s on a SLR and a MacBook and some software, and you can begin, and you can make videos, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's the element of making videos, a pretty little 60-second video for a business, and then there's understanding what that business needs to drive their marketing to get them an outcome result, and working backwards to create a video. So, I guess in short, I think that the market's, especially here in New Zealand, we're flooded with video makers, video creators, easy to get schooled up, easy to get the gear, and easy to make yourself a bit of money. What I've seen here in New Zealand in the last few years, and this started with, with what's now a global company, which is 90 Seconds TV. They, in essence, I think it's a superb model, and I don't knock what's been built. But what they did to the industry here was they sort of came in and Uberized it and cut a lot of the profit out of it because they just undercut everyone. And they didn't undercut people by reducing their own margins. They undercut everybody else by getting all the freelancers to work for reduced rates. So it screwed up the industry. I think that's found a bit of a balance now. But there is a glut of, new video makers and new video creators that don't understand business, don't understand marketing, and in some ways they are industry for rates and for customers and for clients, they're not necessarily, when they look at, for example, my work and my offer to another video creators, they're not comparing apples with apples. I've got 18 years experience, turning over 7 figures, 8,500 videos, I've created, there's a lot of business, I've had a number of my own businesses. There's a lot of skills that I bring to it from a business point of view that, other video creators don't. And it's very hard to tangibly show that, and charge for that, So I think the market does need to clean out, and I think it's going to happen.
I agree. And the fact is, there's a couple of things there. One is, I've been having this conversation quite a lot on the podcast, is that we cannot assume we are immune to the Uberification of our industry. It's already happened. I think the next big shift is going to be, and I said this on a podcast recently, I said, I predict that at some point in the next 5 years, and I have no evidence of this whatsoever, it's just my opinion, that we will see something called Adobe Rough Cut. Like Adobe will create a machine learning way to edit videos for you. And it might be to kind of help you with the rough cut, but if it's not Adobe, it will be somebody else. There's no way that technology, we would be crazy to assume that's not going to happen. Editing's going to go.
Yeah, I spent close to 18 months working heavily on an idea like you're talking about to try and get something built. And my pockets aren't deep enough. But I mean, I saw something pop up the other day using AI, and it cuts out the dead spots in your interviews or anything else like that. So there's already bits of technology out there that's doing that. and I've had this conversation with other video creators, and it's usually the people that will spend a lot of money on their cameras, don't work that often, can create really beautiful work that looks great but doesn't necessarily serve a purpose. They're often the ones to jump on about it being a craft and, no one can replace a human and I've got my way of doing things. And that's not wrong, but it's not what people want.
And that's the key, isn't it? It's from a business perspective, you have to adapt to what the market wants. I have no issue with anyone crafting something. Master craftsmen make beautiful furniture, but there's a very small market for it. And I think our industry has this propensity to, as a filmmaking community, everyone just wants an Arri or a Red, because then they're shooting on the best camera, they've got the best quality, they can craft everything. And I hear time and time again a kind of slightly bitter undertone of conversation. I look at a few groups and things, and it's always like, oh, no one appreciates us, no one gets the craft. It's so unfair. And here's the thing, and this might be controversial. It's totally fair. The market wants what the market wants. And you can choose as a business owner to try and force feed the market something that you want to give them because you believe in it, or you can listen to the market and give them what they need. And I think this entire resetting of the planet just now is going to do that. So to make this useful for people listening and watching, what do we need to be giving?
Yeah.
What do we need to be giving the audience? And how do we need to be adjusting and adapting our businesses to remain profitable? Because I believe there's still huge opportunity.
Yeah.
And you live in a country with 5 million people. I mean, it's a tiny, tiny economy. Yet you're generating significant revenues in video production. So what are you doing differently, and what should people be thinking about doing differently?
So my stance, and like I say, I'm a business person before I'm a video creator, is you need to understand what the market wants, and you can't actually understand what the market wants without data. You can think you do. You can think that they're going to want 8K raw footage shot, and you can think that they're going to want beautifully crafted videos, and you can think that, but unless you go and actually test it and talk to your market and talk to your potential customers, you actually don't know anything. So, my take has always been to, if I have an idea for something that I'm going to release or launch, or before I do anything, I get very clear on what that idea is. And then I'll pick my top 10 potential customers that I think are going to want it. And I'll have a conversation about it with them and get data. If I did this, would you want it? What would you pay for it? How often would you use it? What do you think the outcomes that you could get from it? And by doing that, you'll very quickly get clear on whether your idea is going to work or not, without wasting time or money, or, and then I guess what's difficult for people like us and video creators is, because we do enjoy the process, we love the craft, we can get drawn into that, so we can think, oh, if we make a really beautiful show reel, we're going to get a lot more customers. But if your show reel, isn't aligned to what people actually want, it can be as beautiful as anything. People don't want it, So my take has always been, talk to your market and listen and get data. When you've got data, then you can make a decision, give them what they want, and don't be attached to how that looks,
It's great advice. And mate, I'd love to talk for longer, but we've got a bit of a connection issue, so you're dropping out a little bit. So what I think I might do is wrap this up here today, but get you back on the show when we get a stronger connection, because I think there's a lot of interesting topics here we can delve into. Thank you so much for your time. And the only reason I'm stopping is because the signal keeps dropping out, and I don't want people to miss out on what you're saying. But where can people find out more about you, Jamie?
So I've got a couple of websites. The first one is my production company, which is pureproductions.co.nz. And then I've got my own page, which is Jamie McKenzie, MCKENZIE.co. So a couple of avenues there.
Cool. Well, we'll make sure and link them into the notes. Guys, I'm definitely going to get Jamie back on. Thanks for bearing with us with the connection issues, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you got a huge amount of value from that episode. If you're looking for additional support